Yeah, please read translation. Sachin, you can translate.
Today, I have something to ask from you, who are the Lord of all living entities. Since I have now been liberated by you from my debts to my Father, and since all my desires are fulfilled, I wish to accept the order of an itinerant mendicant, renouncing this family life. I wish to wander about free from lamentation, thinking always of you in my heart.
Yeah. Very clear this thing. Swama Abhiprachya. I am going to request you, inquire from Adya today. Hey Prajapati, you have appeared. Now, all my debts to my father are over. Means what? He was told to become a progenitor. He was told to increase the progeny. So he did that. Although he was not very much willing in the sense of the taking up, but he was told by Brahma, so he took that responsibility. So he completed now, so my debts are over. And I have given son also, so my debt also is over to wife. So all my debts are over to my father, to my wife, and my desires are also fulfilled. I expressed to you that I want a suitable wife. I am like a bull. I want a cow. Right? With humility, he was saying. So that desires also fulfilled. So now I want to take sannyas. Itinerant mendicant, parivrajat, padvil. So, and why I want to take that? I want to remember you in my heart constantly, without any shokamoha. Charishya tvam hridi yunjan vishoka. So that's what he's directly putting his aspiration, Kardam Muni. So Sri Vishwanath Chakra Thakur says that the order of my father to produce offspring has been liquidated by your appearance. My desire is fulfilled. So now, as a Rasik Acharya, Sri Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is telling what is he's contemplating, why Kardama is going. So Prabhupada also says that actually, how is it that he's going out when Lord is coming in his house? So there is Rasabhas because he is situated in Dasyaras, and now if he stays, it will be like Vatsalyaras. So there is Rasabhas of these two rasas. So it is not suitable for me to be here. So that's what I have been fixed in my Lord Narayan since birth as a servant. Now with the birth of a son, it will be hard to avoid having fatherly affection for the so it is not suitable. So that's how he is clarifying the point. Why he what he was contemplating. So, however, the independent Lord sinking me in ocean of lamentation, which quickly have me renounce. So he will help me to renounce. Right? I will not commit an offense to the Lord by giving him. So that's what he's saying. Because imagine, Lord appears in your house and you leave. Actually, it's very unlikely. So I wish to worship him without interruption in a solitary forest 24 hours a day. So that's the internal contemplation. So Prabhupada is taking the purport to the last line that, what is the purpose of renunciation? Purpose of renunciation is not the sake of relief from family responsibility, not from freedom from the, uh, so to say, the challenges of family life. No, that is not the purpose of sannyas. But purpose of sannyas is to complete absorption in Krishna consciousness and immersion in the self. So that's how he begins the purpose of sannyas. So actually, sannyas of material household life necessitates complete absorption in Krishna consciousness and immersion in the self. One does not take sannyas freedom from family responsibility in renounced order of life, to make another family, or to create embarrassing transcendental fraud in the name of sannyas. Right? So this is quite prevalent current days. Many uh, people like this who may wear the robes of sannyas or Babaji, and on the name of renunciation, they will do all these kinds of activities. So for this warning contextually. So sannyasi is proud that he is always thinking of Krishna. And then he tells there are two kinds of sannyasis, Goshtanandi and Bhajananandi. So Goshtanandi is one who travels and preaches, organizes missionary activities. So uh, as Prabhupada is mentioning here, that it is not just to free oneself from family responsibility. Right? So in first canto, 13th chapter, there is a very wonderful discussion about this. When the Vidura is instructing Dhritarashtra. Right? So Prabhupada writes very important principles there. So this is the purport number 26. So can someone read that comment I have pasted from there? This is about the right spirit of renunciation. Yeah, please read.
Uh, which line, Prabhuji?
This whole thing you can read.
This all thing.
Is it visible for you or color is little problematic?
This is
This whole thing, yeah.
yes, yes.
Yes, please read.
Dhira means one who is not disturbed even when there is sufficient provocation. One cannot give up a comfortable family life due to his affectionate relation with wife and children. Self realization is obstructed by such undue affection for family. And if anyone is at all able to forget such a relation, he is called undisturbed or dhira. This is, however, the path of renunciation based on a frustrated life. But stabilization of such renunciation is possibly only by association with bona fide son and self-realized soul, by which one can be engaged in the loving devotional service of the Lord. Sincere surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is possible by awakening the transcendental sense of service. This is made possible by association with pure devotees of the Lord. Dhritarashtra was lucky enough to have a brother whose very association was a source of liberation for his frustrated life.
So what Prabhupada is writing here, the context is that Vidura wanted to make him Narottam by giving him bhakti. But Dhritarashtra was not qualified due to his offenses, the Pandava. So he made him Dhira. So Dhira is one who is undisturbed. So this is one level below the highest. So what is Dhira? That he has no disturbance, even if he forgets the relationships with the family members. So this is about the Vanaprastha life. So that is one level. So renunciation, this Vanaprastha life is path of renunciation only. But it is gradual. As Kardam Muni is directly able to go because he is very advanced. But general course of action is what? Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. So this is the general path which most of the people follow. So the Vanaprastha life can begin with some frustration, but that's not the purpose. In the sense, the renunciation cannot be stabilized in such just relief from frustration, right? So we have to stabilize the renunciation. So that can happen only in association of pure devotees, right? Because they will set right the intentions, set right the activities, and set right the mood, set right the process, right? By which the transcendental sense of service is awakened. So that's how the whole point is mentioned here. Because the purpose of life is to completely focus on the Supreme Lord eventually. But it cannot be done just like a pressing button. So that's how the Vedic way of life, as we'll see in these purports today, so many places Prabhupada will mention this theme. Panchoshvardham Manam Gajit. That one must go to forest, one must take renunciation, etc. So what is it in its spirit? What are the principles are very important to grasp what Prabhupada is saying. As same Prabhupada says that currently people are staying in cities, it's very difficult to do this, right? So we have to understand the principles and what we can go closer to them as much as possible. Because we can't go to forest now, physically speaking. Right? So what are the principles? That's what we are trying to reflect. So having requested now, after praising Lord, he requested that I now, please bless me. I will remember you. I am going as Parivajak sannyas. So Lord responds in 5, 6 verses from 35 to yeah, 40, 35 to 40. He blesses him. He assures him that I will take care of your wife, and he blesses him that he will remember me, etc. So Shri text 35. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Proktam hi lokasya Pramanam Satyalaukiki Athajani Maya Tupyam Yedo Vochamritam Muni. Someone's country, maybe. Yeah. Sachi Sundari Mataji.
Yes. The personality of Godhead, Kapila said, whatever I speak, whether directly or in the scriptures, is authoritative in all respects for the people of the world. O Muni, because I told you before that I would become your son, I have descended to fulfill this truth.
So the first two lines are saying that whatever Lord has spoken in scriptures is authoritative. So why this is mentioned? So Prabhupada will explain in the purport. Because Karda Muni is following the scriptural injunctions of renouncing the family life. So for setting an example. So that's the first thing. And secondly, he is telling that, as I promised you, I appeared as your son. So that's how these two things are mentioned. So, oh great sage, you want to act according to my wish, since I have said it is necessary to worship me, giving up everything. Sarvadharman Parityaj. So you are following rightly. Right? Laukik, for this is correct for Laukik people. For specific devotees, the main important principle is to attain me. Right? So this is also authoritative statement. Giving up everything is also authoritative, and attaining me is also better authoritative. So you are acting correctly. You have considered things properly in giving up everything and depart. So that's how he is saying. So Prabhupada takes this point and flips it by saying that Vedic authority says that householder must leave home after 50th year. Panchoshvardham manam vrajit. So here Kardam Muni is exhibiting this in a very highest way. By even Lord is appearing in his home and he is leaving. Yeah, please read this portion. Kardam Muni.
Kardama Muni was to leave his family life to completely engage in the service of the Lord. But since he knew that the Lord himself, as Kapila, had taken birth in his home as his own son, why was he preparing to leave home to search out self realization or God realization? God himself was present in his home. Why should he leave home? Such a question may certainly arise. But here it is said that whatever is spoken in the Vedas and whatever is practiced in accordance with the injunctions of the Vedas is to be accepted as authoritative in society. Vedic authority says that a householder must leave home after his 50th year.
So that's why so this is another lesson which he is teaching us. That Vedic authority, I must follow the words of the Lord. And he's telling the Lord only I am going. And Lord is uh, kind of agreeing that yes, what you are doing is right. This is what I want. So Kardam Muni went through all the stages of life, Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. So you can see Prabhupada explaining that he Muni practiced yoga very rigidly as a brahmachari before marriage and then become so powerful. He attained mystic power. His father Brahma ordered him to marry and beget children. That also he did. He begat 9 daughters and a good son. Now his duty was to leave. So he did his part. Even though he had Supreme Personality of God as his son, he had to respect the authority of Vedas. This is a very important lesson. So even if one has God in his home as his son, one should still follow the Vedic injunction. Mahajano yenagata sapanta. One should traverse the path which is followed by great personalities. So Kardam Muni's example is very instructive. So that's how Prabhupada is emphasizing this point of shifting the focus on Lord in life by relocating ourselves physically. Here Prabhupada is mentioned in this particular purport. One must. It's an injunction. And more important than injunction is the purpose. Right? The purpose is to always remember the Supreme Lord. So that's how the second part says about it. So Prabhupada writes about sannyas and how sannyas is not told in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga it is not suggested. 5 things are not suggested. In that sannyas is also there. So Prabhupada writes that also, but he says, yeah, one should take sannyas. In Kali Yuga, the injunction is that no one should accept sannyas. Of course, those who actually follow the rules and regulation must take sannyas. But Prabhupada is writing purport, you only give sannyas to even people who are not even fully cultured in terms of their background, but they're fully surrendered to Srila Prabhupada and the process of Bhakti. So the main purpose of sannyas life is to be in constant companionship with the Supreme Lord, either by thinking of Him within the heart or hearing Him through oral reception. So that's how the Prabhupada is writing all these points to make very clear that what is forbidden, what is essential. So purpose of sannyas of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also for the sake of preaching. What Prabhupada gave was also for the purpose of, he was in the phase of creation of this ISKCON movement. So he has to take risk to give sannyas to so young people. But he did that. That's why we are existing now here. However, the purpose, the activity and purpose. So the purpose is for the sake of outreach. But outreach can be done when there is in-reach. In-reach is constantly thinking of Krishna within. So this is the qualification of sannyas. So as we know that there is a proper process. So from grahastha life to sannyas, there is in between vanaprastha life as well, right? So sannyas is beyond. But the point is, it is beginning of shifting of the focus to devotional life. So that's how Prabhupada says at the end, main purpose. And then he emphasizes on hearing than thinking. In this age of Kali, hearing is important because one may not be thinking because that activity is not there, etc. So these purports, Prabhupada is mentioning these principles again and again. Now he continues further. Tanme
Guruji,
janma. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Guru, I have one question. So,
Yes.
Guruji, as you're aware, like the Kumbh Mela is going on recently. So what is your comment about the Naga sadhus and all those people who come there? And then we have sannyas in ISKCON also. So how do you really to compare both these two things?
Yeah, so see, how we compare that, we respect them for what they are, because renunciation needs to be respected. Whatever, they may not be devotees, but they are spiritualists. They are coming from Kumbh Mela with faith, right? Because so that's what we respect them, what they are doing. However, we may not follow them, right? So our sannyas of Prabhupada is, the purpose is clear and it's in line with the Supreme Lord fully. Whereas the others, we don't know much about their paths, but we have idea that okay, they are having some authoritative paths and we respect them from a distance. So that's our stand on, or our view of them. So we offer them respects, and surely we don't criticize them for what they are. So we offer them respects because they are showing to the whole world that this material life is useless, isn't it? So that's a big teaching they are giving by giving up everything. So that's how they are doing part of Lord's teachings, by living the life of renunciation, giving up all the comforts. And there are so many types of sadhu babas. And so that way, because it's very difficult to know who is who. So better be careful.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So going further now. So the next, have you read the translation? I think no, no? 36th verse. So can you please read translation, Samarpan Krishna?
Okay. My appearance in this world is especially to explain the philosophy of Sankhya, which is highly esteemed for self-realization, for those desiring freedom from the entanglement of unnecessary material desires.
Yeah. So he's telling me his purpose. Okay. While going that my purpose of appearance is mumukshunam durashaya. Those who are desirer of liberation, as you are mentioning, these Naga Babas or others, mumukshunam, they are all mumukshu. And durashaya means unnecessary material desires. Prasankhayana tattvanam, for explaining the tattvas of Sankhya philosophy. So I have Atma Darshani, for the sake of self-realization. So I have taken birth in this world. So he is telling the purpose of his activity. Prabhupada takes this word Durashaya and comments about this. Dur means dukkha. Ashaya means from the shelter. So those who take shelter of dukkha. The reconditioned souls have taken of the material body, which is full of troubles and miseries. So Prabhupada is commenting about very strongly about the current education and the current lifestyle is all about this body only. Right? The human society should be very seriously understand that the body itself is a source of miserable life. Idam shariram parinama pesharam patatyavashyam shatasandhi jarjaram. So I think Kul Shekhar Alvaris say, Kim aushadam richasi moodha durmate rasayanam piba, like that is there. So he is asking, what medicine you are asking for this body? You just drink the Krishna Rasaya in the name of Krishna. That is the best medicine. Because this body has what? Parinama Peshalam. It's all coming from our karmic background. And it has 108 joints. And every joint has some problem. Shata Sandhi Jarjara. It's going to become old. So which medicine you are going to ask? A food? Just take medicine of Krishna's name, Krishna's Katha. So that's what Prabhupada is. But modern civilization is supposed to be making advancement in scientific knowledge. But what is this scientific knowledge? It is based on bodily comforts only, without knowledge that however comfortably one maintains his body, the body is destructive. So the fundamental point Prabhupada is telling here, the fallacy of current civilization, education, and research, and everything. So this is Acharya. And Durashaya, same Prahlad Maharaj, which currently here we are discussing here in Bhagavatam classes, right? So he uses this word, Dura, when he is addressing Hiranyakashipu. What he says, I think, Matirna Krishna Parato Sato Va Mitho Vipaddeta Griha Pratana Adanta Govir Vishapanta Misha Punascharvita Charvanana Nate Vidu Swartha Gatim Hi Vishnu Durashayaye Bahiratthamanina. There word comes, Durashaya. So this Shanda and Amarka, although they are knowers of Vedic culture, but they don't know the goal of life is Vishnu. So they are Durashaya. Durashaya means what? Their aspirations are of Swarga, etc., which he compares with same as prostitute houses. Prahlad Maharaj is telling his father, Hiranyakashipu. So they are Durashaya, they don't know what is the Swartha. And those who follow them, they also know them Swartha. Actually, he is saying about Shukracharya also. So you are his follower, both of you are like Andha Yatham Dhera Upaniyamana. Blind leading to blind in the dark way. So that is the situation of current civilization also outside. So that is what is the Prabhupada is emphasizing here. And then quoting Bhagavad Gita. So the whole research is for purpose of increasing the enjoyment. But they don't know. So Prabhupada very interestingly says that their desire is to have eternal enjoyment, but they don't know how to attain that eternal enjoyment. So one has to change the place. Right? That they don't know. So the purpose of Sankhya is to reveal that truth. What is that truth? The real truth of knowledge of how to get out of the material body, which is the source of all trouble. Lord Kapila's incarnation or descent is especially meant for this purpose. That is clearly stated here. So this body has to be seen as a source of trouble than enjoy. So that's the whole thing. Text 37. Esha Atma Patho Vyaktu Ashtah Kalena Bhuyasa Tam Pravartayitum Deham Imam Vidhi Maya Vritam.
This path of self-realization, which is difficult to understand, has now been lost in the course of time. Please know that I have assumed this body of Kapila to introduce and explain this philosophy to human society again.
Well, just as in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, that's what Prabhupada quotes also. So this path earlier was there, now it is appears to be lost. So same thing here also. So Krishna says, no, what is that? He says, Sakale neha mahata yogo nashto parantam. Nashta kalena bhuviste. So that's what is mentioned here. And then Prabhupada quotes on one point of Muni. So Muni is one who has different opinion than other Muni. So Sankhya is meant for them actually. Generally, Sankhya philosophy. So Kapil Dev is not going to introduce something from his mental speculation. He is going to tell something which was already existing in scripture. He is going to re-establish that. That's the whole point. Even the Supreme Lord is coming, he is not speaking himself. He is just trying to repeat what was earlier said from scriptures by other sages. So This point Prabhupada is telling and telling the danger of mental speculation. On the metal platform, everyone, especially the mental speculator, tries to be more prominent than others. Nasa muniriyasya matam na bhinnam. Because there are so many scriptures and so many people. There is no limit to the different ways in which one can agitate the mind. The mind can be ultimately agitated, unlimitedly agitated. Thus, one can put forward unlimited number of theories. But Sankhya philosophy is not like that. It is given in scripture, there is no speculation. So, and it was lost. The time factor is so pressing that in the course of time, everything within this material world is spoiled or lost, including the knowledge which is coming in parampara also. So the purpose of Lord is to establish that. So Krishna also appeared for that. Kapila is also appearing for that. So now he is telling, yes, now you go. Gacchakamam maya prahtva nisanyasta karmana hitva sudurjayam mrityum amritatvaya mam bhaja. Now, maybe Parmeshwari Mati, can you?
Translation. Now being sanctioned by me, go as you desire, surrendering all your activities to me, conquering insurmountable death, worship me for eternal life.
Yeah. So I sanction you. I approve your desire. Because you desire that, please go ahead. Renounce and worship me. And you will conquer the most difficult thing to conquer, that is mrityu. Jitva sudurjayam mrityu. Amritatvaya mam bhaja. So Prabhupada comments about these two things here. Sudurjayam mam bhaja. That one should engage in bhakti. Again, he punches on scientists. So Prabhupada always, whenever he gets chance, he will punch on Mayavadis or the modern scientists, who are the current priests, so to say, because people follow Prabhupada time and again. The modern so-called scientists do not have sufficient means to understand the process of victory over birth and death. So what they do, they set aside the question of birth and death and they don't consider it. And they simply engage in solving the problems of body. So purpose of human life is this. And then he should do bhakti, mam bhaja. So mam man mana bhav man. Without Krishna's mercy, no one can understand Sankhya philosophy or any philosophy which is especially meant for liberation. So not just bhakti, but even to practice other philosophies and understand and achieve liberation, one needs Krishna's mercy. And that is, meaning is bhakti has to be mixed in all other processes to attain liberation. So that's the meaning of this statement. Without Krishna's mercy, no one can understand Sankhya philosophy or any other philosophy, which is especially meant for liberation, factual liberation. So that's what he's saying. Mamatmanam swayam jyoti sarvabhuta guhashayam atmanyevatmana viksha shoko bhayam mrichas. Yes, Mother Yashika, you can do. Maybe Shiromani Radhika Mother. In your own heart.
Hare Krishna. In your own heart, through your intellect, you will always see me, the Supreme Self-effulgent Soul dwelling within the hearts of living entities. Thus, you will achieve the state of eternal life free from all lamentation and fear.
Yeah. So, this verse, Kapil Dev is telling previously, you worship me. And what realization you will get? You will realize Paramatma also. Soul is there in your heart. You will see me. I am Bhagwan in front of you. And you will see me as Paramatma in all the living entities. Thus you will achieve the state of eternal life. So that's what. And how? Through your intellect. Mam Atmanam Swayam Jyoti. Sarva Bhuta Bhuvash. So Prabhupada in his purport mentions this Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, and Bhagwan realization. So one who is aspiring and approaching and attain Bhagwan realization, he will automatically get other two realizations. That's the theme of the purport. And before going to that, he will punch on the Mayavanis. Because here, clear cut it is shown. Mam Atmanam Swayam Jyoti. Mam is Lord is telling him. So in Bhagavad Gita, so many places Krishna tells, no, Mam. Right? So, but these impersonalists, they don't take that properly. So Prabhupada punches them by saying that they are less intelligent. That's the first part of the purport. People are very anxious to understand absolute truth in various ways, especially by experiencing Brahmajyoti, effulgence, by meditation or by mental speculation, yoga or jnana. Kapil Dev uses word Mam to emphasize the personality of God, it is ultimate feature of absolute truth. So Bhakti. That's how he's telling you will attain this. Because anyone who has seen the sunshine will know the sun. Right? So that's what. Since the sunshine is the luster of the sun planet, by seeing the sun, one automatically seeing the sunshine. Similarly, by seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one simultaneously sees and experiences the Paramatma feature as well as the impersonal Brahman feature of the Supreme. So that's the first part. So one who sees the Supreme Person can automatically realize other features. And then one becomes completely, what is that? Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Shochati Na Kangshati Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Na Bhakti Labhati. So there is no lamentation, fear, and etc. on that platform. And then actually one can practice bhakti in its true sense of loving devotional service. So that's how Prabhupada is elaborating this verse. Impersonalists or Mayavadis who don't, rascals misinterpret the meaning, he said, of Mam. So they say something within Krishna spoke. So that's how Prabhupada is angry at the devotee. So these three features, in essence, are the way for a devotee. What is his understanding? So Bhagavan understanding means Lord of the spiritual world, Lord of the devotees, the Lord who exchanges affection with devotees in the spiritual world. That is Bhagavan aspect. When you say Lord of the material world, or one who does creation, maintenance, and destruction, that is called Paramatma. That is from Mahavishnu onwards. So that is Paramatma realization. That Lord is creator, maintainer, destroyer of this universe. He is eminent. He is there everywhere in this material world. So this understanding is called Paramatma realization. And Brahman realization is just to know the potencies of the Lord are working in this world. Just the impersonal, all-pervading aspect, not localized. Right? So that is the Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan feature. So Lord of spiritual world, the creator, maintainer, destroyer of material world, and the potencies in the material world, like Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya. Like that one has realization. So they are one object, one absolute truth, but seen from a different distances. So they will appear differently, so they are called different. Just as Prabhupada gives example of mountain, or it may appear like a cloud from distance, but when you go closer, you will see no, it's a mountain. There are so many trees, and if you go further close, you will find there are animals and people, etc. Or train example. The same absolute truth is perceived differently depending on how much you are far from it. Right? So In Bhagwan realization, there is all other realization. Matra adhyatmikim vidyam shamanim sarva karmanam vitarishya ya chasau bhayam chati tarishyati. Yes, Yashita Mata, can you read? Is it possible to read? Or who has not read, they can read. Shobha Lakshmi Mata.
I shall also describe this sublime knowledge, which is the door to spiritual life, to my mother, so that she can also attain perfection and self-realization, ending all reactions to fruitive activity. Thus, she also will be free from all material fear.
Yeah. So, because I am the Lord acting as her son, you do not have to worry about what will happen to Devahuti, your wife. I will take care of her. I will empower her with enlightening knowledge, and she will attain fearlessness. There is giving assurance to Dardama. So, Prabhupada brings out very cultural lessons here, that what should be ideally practiced in this life. How everyone has their own duty and they should do their duty. That's the point. A very good example is set here. A husband goes away taking sannyas order from self-realization, but his representative, the son, who is equally educated, remains at home to develop the mother. So this is what he is saying. And then he says sannyasi, that because he was taking sannyas, so there is no question of wife. But in Vanaprastha, one takes wife with the purpose of traveling to all holy places, doing austerities, engaging in Harinam, Harikatha, Hariseva, and he can go along with his wife as an assistant without sex relations. But in sannyas order of life, one cannot keep his wife like that he said. That's why he has to leave the wife. So Kardam Muni is directly going to sannyas. And then he writes about the woman, the duty of the mother. So woman is not supposed to take sannyas. The so-called spiritual societies concocted modern times gave sannyas to even women, although there is no sanction in Vedic literature for women's accepting sannyas. So the woman must remain at home. She has only 3 stages of life: dependency on the father in childhood, dependency on husband in youth, and in old age, dependency on the grown-up son, such as Kapila. So this is how Prabhupada is emphasizing the cultural aspect of duties. That everyone is focusing on spiritual life while doing their duties. However, we will see that Prabhupada made Brahmacharini Asha, right? So how to understand this purport? He's writing the purport and there is Brahmacharini Ashram while he's writing this purport, right? So this is third canto, means Prabhupada is writing somewhere in the 70s, 1969, 70, 71 maybe, I don't know. So that time there was Brahmacharini Ashram. So how is it that Prabhupada is writing this? So how do we understand this? What Prabhupada is writing here? Any thoughts? This one.
Prabhupada writes that in the childhood, the woman has to depend on the father, and in the youth on the husband, and in the later on the grown-up son. But in the Western countries, like they were not having such a culture, so to align them properly and give protection and facilitate their spiritual life, establish the brahmacharya.
Yes. So true. According to time, place, circumstance, it tried to facilitate their Krishna consciousness in that culture. But what Prabhupada wanted is this culture, right? What he wants in future is this culture. So we see that nowadays that ashram is not there, right? Rather, there is focus is shifting on Varnashrama, which is the desire of Srila Prabhupada. Right? So where all this culture is setting, where the things can happen properly. So it was an adjustment which was done, but that is not the ideal. Ideal is here, what he has written. Right? So that's how he is saying it. Thank you. So with this, Lord's words end, and now what happened to Kardam Muni is the rest of the 6-7 verses. How he attained perfection and how he progressed on spiritual path. That is the last few verses. So as previous purports, just one thing comes to my mind before going to this, that one actual example, because since here the talk is about living the household life for the sake of spiritual realization. Right? So there is one devotee named, I think many of you might know also. That is His Grace Krishna Chandra Prabhu. Right? So as we saw in that Prabhupada's purport, that association with pure devotees is essential to stabilize reconciliation and all that. So, Hare Krishna. Is it not audible, Prabhu? Just now you have put this message. Am I not audible properly? Hare Krishna.
Volume is a bit low.
It
Otherwise,
happened.
it's low.
It is now low, or it is from beginning it is like this one. Now it is more. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare
No, it is
Rama.
low.
Low from the start.
Is better than previous or same one?
Yeah, slightly better.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay. Fine. So, yes, I was telling about that. No? The stabilization of renunciation can come only by association of pure devotees. Right? So, this Krishna Chandra Prabhu or Rishikesh Mapatlal Prabhu is a very wonderful Vaishnava. So, he has been in association of his spiritual master since beginning from his business, beginning from his household life. So, he at one point of time, he completely did his duty. He put his business in proper shape after challenges, and then he handed over the responsibilities to the son who is grown up, and he was ready to take it up. So he one day came to his Guru Maharaj and said that, Maharaj, now I am done. I am done with my duties. I am ready to move in Vanaprastha, or I will stay in the temple full time. So, but his spiritual master, what he replied, he said that, my dear Krishna Chandra Prabhu, your Vanaprastha life is to continue what you are doing now. You don't have to shift here. Continue doing business. That is what is your Vanaprastha life. And we see that he continued and he's still continuing his responsibilities. But along with that, he is doing so many profound and services to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Right? So actually, this is the one of the ideal examples which we see. That actually, that's how the purpose of Vanaprastha life is not just physically relocating, but properly being engaged under the instruction of Guru. Right? So what is purpose of Vanaprastha now? He continues doing business, how much outreach he is able to do, how much time and energy he is able to give for Krishna. Right? So he's one of the very means one of the leaders of ISKCON Chowpatty, right? Along with his business responsibilities with his son and others. But he is doing a very profound service for his Guru. So what I wanted to mention is that physical relocation is not the main thing. but utility of our time, energy, and resources is more important. What is our engagement? So, and that should be done in connection with the, like in this case, he was in touch with his spiritual master. Right? So that's what is the right course of action. Because as we, as our age increases, we have to shift the focus, right? And it can't be done abruptly, but it has to be done organically and gradually. So how do we do that? By gradually, first of all, planning for it, considering it, thinking about it, and then gradually increasing our time and energy for serving Guru and Krishna. So, under the guidance. So this is the course of action which we can learn from this example. And what Kardamani is teaching us here, what Prabhupada is instructing in this particular purpose. So now from 41 onwards, as I said, the rest of the journey of Kardamani is given. Maitreya Muni is telling. Maitreya Vacha Evam Samuditastena Kapilena Prajapati Dakshinikrityatam Prito Vanameva Jagamaha. Again, yeah. Again, you can start reading. I think everyone read. No? Yes, Sachin, you can begin. Maybe you can read 3 verses now. 3 verses because we will take this section quickly. Yes, Sachin Sundari Mata, you can read 3 verses.
Okay. Sri Maitreya said, thus when Kardama Muni, the progenitor of human society, was spoken to in fullness by his son Kapila, he circumambulated him, and with a good pacified mind, he at once left for the forest.
So leaving for forest. So Prabhupada takes that point and again says, as I told you, these purports are telling us go to forest, So that's what he is saying. Going to forest is compulsory for everyone. It is not a mental excursion upon which one person goes and another doesn't go. Everyone should go to forest, at least as a one person. Forest going means, but what is meaning of forest going? To take 100% shelter of the Supreme. So, Sharanagati, that principle Prabhupada is emphasizing. The preliminary process is to become free, is to go to the forest by giving up familiar relationships and exclusively engage in Krishna consciousness. That is the purpose of forest. So, at the present moment, this is not at all advisable for a man who has spent his life all along in big cities. Right? So, one does not actually have to go to the forest. To see how Prabhupada. But what is to be done? That's what he says. Then he says, Prahlad Maharaj also said that. So those who are forgetful of their eternal relationship with the Lord are blind. So he is explaining Prahlad Maharaj's teachings. So one has to Saranagati. Saranagati is the main principle of going forest. The dependence on Lord. So that's what is told in further verses also. Pratam sa astito maunam atmaika sharanam munihi. Sango vyacharat kshonim anagnir anikhetana. Yes, continue. Mataji.
The sage Kardama accepted silence as a vow in order to think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and take shelter of Him exclusively. Without association, he traveled over the surface of the globe as a sannyasi, devoid of any relationship with fire or shelter.
So, in this verse, and purport Prabhupada explains about this life of sannyas. Means his lodging and boarding should not be dependent on others. That is anagnir aniketa. One is about fire means cooking, other is about having shelter, right? Staying facility. But he doesn't have both. That's what he's saying. And then he quotes about Mona, which Prabhupada says real silence is glorifying Krishna. Not that a rascal appears very intelligent as long as he does not speak. But speaking is a test. So one can speak about pastimes of love. But there are impersonalists. Again, he is mentioning impersonalists. Right? So they can become silent. They stop their nonsensical talks. But a devotee can speak about it. And then he tells about very interesting principle about, Vratam means that one should take vow as explained in Bhagavad Gita. So what is the vow of a sannyasi? Amanitvam adambit. Without hankering for personal respect and without being proud of one's material position. So that is vrat he takes. It's not external vrat, it is quite internal vrat. Right? Yeah. What further he did? Mano brahmani yunjano yat sadasat tat sadasat param gunavabhase viguna ekabhaktyanubhavite.
He fixed his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Parabrahman, who is beyond cause and effect, who manifests the three modes of material nature, who is beyond those three modes, and who is perceived only through unfailing devotional service.
So here, fixing on mind on Brahmani. Brahmani doesn't means it is impersonal Brahma Jyoti. No. This is Brahmani means this Supreme Lord. That's how Prabhupada is translated. Parabrahma. Right? So, and because Bhaktya, Eka Bhaktya Anubhavi. Bhakti can be done only for personality of God, not for impersonal. So that's what Prabhupada says. Bhakta, Bhakti and Bhagavan. That is, there is no meaning of word Bhakti without Bhagavan. So that's how he says. Then what happened? Nirahankritir nirmamascha nirdvandva samadrik swaduk kattak prashanta dhir dhira prashantor mir ivo dadhi. Yeah. One more verse you can.
Yes. Thus, he gradually became unaffected by the false ego of material identity and became free from material affection. Undisturbed, equal to everyone, and without duality, he could indeed see himself also. His mind was turned inward and was perfectly calm like an ocean, unagitated by waves.
So his heart and mind became very deep. Right? So Mahatma, who's Vistirna Gadha Manasa, very broad and very deep. Does that mean? It doesn't have any possessiveness. Nirmama, Nirahankara, Nirdvandva. His vision is proper. It's like a ocean. So Prabhupada compares that with that Bhagavad Gita verse that there are so many rivers which come in ocean, but ocean remains unagitated. Right? So that's what he says. वासुदेवे भगवती सर्वज्ञे प्रत्यगात्मनि परेण भक्ति भावेन लब्धात्मा मुक्त बंधन. Yes, someone else can read. Sachin Prabhu, can you read now?
Yes, true.
This last three verses. Yeah.
He thus become liberated from conditioned life and becomes self-situated in transcendental devotional service to the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, the omniscient super soul within everyone.
So he attained perfection. Atma. Yeah. Then what was his vision? Atmanam sarvabhuteshu bhagvantam avasthitam apashyat sarvabhutani bhagavatta pichatmani.
He began to see that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is seated in everyone's heart and that everyone is existing on him because he is the super soul of everyone.
So he factually could see. Lord promised him that you will see me in every living entity. So he could see. So he saw actually all these three Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, etc. He saw all these things. Ichchadvesha vihinena sarvatra samachetasa bhagavad bhakti yuktena prabhupada bhagavati hati. Yes,
Freed from all hatred and desire, Kardam Muni being equal to everyone because of discharging uncontaminated devotional service, ultimately attained the path back to Godhead.
So he attained Bhagavati Gati. He attained spiritual world as an associate of the Lord. So that's how this chapter ends. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of third canto, 24th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Renunciation of Kardama. So now we'll have completed this chapter, which was remaining. So now we begin with the next section of the teachings of Kapila, which is another important section as a teaching, one of the biggest teachings of the entire Bhagavatam, you will see. So there is almost how many chapters? 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. 9 chapters of Kapila's teachings. And Prabhupada did emphasize those teachings by speaking on them. Right? So now we'll begin those teachings with chapter 25. Right? So that is 25th chapter. So before entering the chapter, we will see what is there in the chapter. Chapter summary, as we see. So now Kardama has gone, he attained perfection. But what happened at home? So that is told. Matra sprishtaha panchavimshi kapilo bhakti mahatam tallakshanam tat prabhavam tadutkarsham cha sarvatah. So very precisely it is given. What is the content of the chapter? So as inquired by mother, Matraha Prishtaha, in the 25th chapter, Kapilo Bhakti Ahata. Kapil Dev explained Bhakti to her as inquired by mother. And what more he is doing? Lakshanam Tat Prabhavam. So the characteristics of Bhakti, the influence of Bhakti, and Tadutkarsham cha sarvatah, and the excellence of Bhakti over all other processes. Sarvatah. So he speaks many other processes which are mixed with Bhakti, like Yoga Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, and Shuddha Bhakti. So that's how he is establishing the excellence of pure Bhakti by telling the characteristics, the influence, and the excellence. Right? So that's the fact that we have to be very clear about what is pure Bhakti, to practice pure Bhakti. And what are the mixtures? So this is the section where it is very wonderfully given by Kapil Dev. Right? So similarly, the Siddhar Swami also writes, Panichavimshe jananyatu prishto bandha vimochanam. So after inquiring by his mother to remove her bandhan, Adav aha param bhakti lakshanam Kapila sutaha. So the son Kapil Dev spoke the characteristic of param bhakti. Param bhakti means Shuddha bhakti. He spoke initially Kapilenarpita matre gudha bhava niyantrita yogamanikkya manjusham sputam udhatake dhuna. So Sridhar Swami is saying that I will try to show the great jewels of Siddhanta given by Kapil Muni in this particular section. Right? So that's how this chapter is beginning. So now we go to Prabhupada's document 3.25. Yeah, so Prabhupada, as I told, Tad Utkarsham cha Sarvata. So Prabhupada titles this chapter as the glories of devotional service, the excellence of devotional service, right? So it is based on that. Although Kapila is speaking about some other processes, but he is extolling the glory of Param Bhakti, pure Bhakti, right in the beginning. And then 26, 27, 28 are the chapters of Mishra Bhakti. And 29, again, the pure Bhakti will be spoken. Right? So that's how these chapters are in sequence, in a systematic way. He is giving the teachings to his mother. So the 25th, the glories of devotional service, text 1. So the sections in this chapter. So first few verses, Shaunak Rishi's inquiries about Lord Kapila. Shaunak Rishi's further inquiry. He is showing his eagerness that I want to hear more about Kapil Dev. So that is there in the first 5 verses. And then 6 to 11 is Devahuti's questions to Kapil Dev with the desire to get enlightenment and become free from bondage. So 6 to 11 are the questions. So we wish to cover them. Let us see. And then from 12 to 18 is the answer to her first question. Actually, she asked 3 questions. So the answer begins from text 12 and it goes on from there. So we will till that 44th. So it's a very big chapter. So it will take considerable amount of time in the sense of the discussion and the purports of Prabhupada. So we will try to cover the first 2 sections today till Devahuti's questions. Let us see how it happens. So this is the So first 5 verses are Shaunak Rishi's eagerness and inquiry about hearing about Kapil Dev more. Shaunaka uvacha Kapilastattva samkhyata Bhagavanatma mayaya jatah swayamajah sakshat atma pradnyaptate nirvanam. Someone else can read this. Volunteer.
Sri Shaunaka said, although he is unborn, the Supreme Personality of Godhead took birth as Kapil Muni by his internal potency. He descended to disseminate transcendental knowledge for the benefit of the whole human race.
So Kapilas Tattva Samkhyata is one who is descended to disseminate the transcendental knowledge. Atma Mayaya, by his own internal energy, he took birth. Although he is unborn, Ajah Jat, Sakshat Bhagavan, sorry, for the purpose of Atma Prabhnaptite, for the benefit of all the human beings. So that's what is told. So Prabhupada takes this point of Ajna Prajnaptai. Material necessities are quite sufficiently provided for in the Vedic knowledge, which offers a program for good living conditions and gradual elevation to platform of goodness. So Vedic knowledge was so, what you can say, all-encompassing and broad that one can live happily and live happily also. So they will help us to live happily in this world and they will help us to attain happiness after death. So that's how the very nice program of Vedic knowledge was like. And the whole program of knowledge was taking a person to mode of goodness, platform of goodness. Why? What is the purpose of platform of goodness? Because as soon as one approaches goodness, his knowledge expands. Naturally, person starts seeing things as they are. So then automatically he comes to know the right things. As Srila Prabhupada writes, I think that the further things in NOI preface, Prabhupada writes that whatever is needed is revealed as one progresses. Because the nature of goodness is what? One starts seeing things as they are, hearing things as they are, everything. Whereas in other modes, it is not. The true reality is not seen. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. On the mode of goodness, one's knowledge expands. So Kapila is giving the knowledge by which one will come to mode of goodness and go beyond this Shuddha Sat. So what is the problem with other modes? Problem of passion, there is no knowledge. For passion is simply an impetus to enjoy material benefits. So you may say that why there is so much knowledge here, but the whole purpose is geared for selfishness. So that knowledge is not, as in technical words you can say, there is Paravidya, that is Shuddha Bhakti. There is Aparavidya, which is like Vedic knowledge, which is conducive for Shuddha Bhakti, but it is in relation to the material body, gross and subtle body, like Ayurveda and so many other Vedic knowledge. Paravidya and Aparavidya. Aparavidya is that which is needed for sustenance in the material. But there is Avidya. Avidya is what? The only knowledge which is geared for selfishness. So that's why that is knowledge in mode of passion. On platform of ignorance, there is no knowledge and no enjoyment. But simply life almost like that of animals. So that's why the importance of mode of goodness is being emphasized here. When one is situated in mode of goodness, he is able to understand knowledge of the self. And this knowledge cannot be appreciated by an ordinary man. Because he will feel that why, what is this unnecessary things are being discussed. So that is the platform. So, and then Prabhupada is quoting Jata, Ajaha Jat. So he took birth or appeared simply to appreciate and disseminate this transcendental. So that's the whole thing. And then Prabhupada is continuing. One must be situated in activities of Brahman, not just understand I am Brahman. And activities of Brahman are Bhakti. That's the whole thing. So the whole point here is that there is importance of lifestyle also. The regulated life. Human beings are meant for regulated. So how for self-realization the regulative life is important. So that's what in regulated life only one can understand the transcendental. So it's very important to actually go in this direction of regulation. So regulating knowledge is not just about studying books and mugging things up. No, it is connection with our lifestyle also. That's how Prabhupada has given everything. He has given books, he has given morning and evening program, which is not just for temple devotees, it is for everyone. It is for all devotees, whether temple devotees or congregation devotees. Morning program is meant for everyone. And that is what is beginning of regulated life. So morning program may be adjusted to some extent, but the importance is the principle of doing that. So that's how it is important for understanding transcendental knowledge. Now, Shauna Krishi continues. Nayasya varshmanah pumsam varimnah sarva yogina vishyutau shutadevasya bhuri tripyanti me savaha. Yes, continue. Yes, someone else can.
Shaunaka continued, there is no one who knows more than the Lord himself. No one is more worshipable or more mature a yogi than he. He is therefore the master of the Vedas, and to hear about him always is the actual pleasure of the senses.
So he's showing his eagerness here. Bhuri tripyanti me savaha. But I want to hear more and more about Kapil Dev, because who is that Kapil Dev? He is Supreme Lord. So his activities are glorious for hearing Shatadevasya. So I want to hear. So Prabhupada takes this point and glorifies the Bhagavad Gita. But how powerful is Bhagavad Gita, and one can keep on hearing again and again and relishing. Bhagavad Gita is Krishna Katha, any Krishna Katha. So that's what Prabhupada is telling here. Yeah, this part you can read. This part, yes. To hear.
Yes. To hear from Krishna is the real pleasure of the senses. Therefore, he is known as a Govinda. For by his words, by his teachings, by his instructions, by everything connected with him, he enlivens the senses. Whatever he instructs is from the transcendental platform, and his instructions, being absolute, are non different from him. Hearing from Krishna or his expansion or plenary expansion like Kapila is very pleasing to the senses. Bhagavad Gita can be read or heard many times, but because it gives great pleasure, the more one reads Bhagavad Gita, the more he gets the appetite to read and understand it. And each time he gets new enlightenment. That is the nature of the transcendental message. Similarly, we find that transcendental happiness is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, uh, transcendental happiness in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The more we hear and chant the glories of the Lord, the more we become happy.
So this is the important principle which we can understand, that this is a different ball game where we are in touch with Krishna's words in form of Bhagavad Gita or Kapil Shiksha or entire Bhagavad. So they are different subject matter and they should be approached differently, thinking that these are the words of Lord. They are transcendental. So the more we present ourselves in front of them in the right spirit, more there will be experience, which Prabhupada is talking about. Right? So Prabhupada is saying here, it gives so much pleasure. And Prabhupada says, my purports are my devotional ecstasies. So he was experiencing this pleasure. He was getting nourished by this pleasure. So, and he wants all of us to do that. Right? That's why he's writing here. In Bhagavatam, he is telling about Bhagavad Gita because they are words of Krishna. Here, words of Kapila are going to be discussed. So, anything connected to Lord is transcendental, including the words, which are the most important. Words of instruction, words of his teachings. So, more one hears with right spirit, more he gets appetite to read and understand. Imagine. So, that's the thing. So, there is newer and newer experience when you read the same book, the same chapter. But this is the specific experience which Prabhupada is talking about here. And the first part, Prabhupada talks about the glory of Kapil. He is the greatest. So he was the greatest among yogis like Dattatreya, Varimnaha. And he is greatest among Purushas like Shirodaksha Vishnu. He is greater than. So that's how these two words are there. Varshmanaha and Varimna. Sarvayana. Pumsam Varshmanaha and Varimna. So that's the purport. So that is confirmed here. He is beyond all this. So it's very important to approach these transcendental subject matters in a right spirit because they have connection of the law, the words of the law. So Shaunak Muni has that experience, which Prabhupada is elaborating for all of us. Yad vidatte Bhagavan, yad vidatte Bhagavan, swachandatmatmaya mayaya, tani me shaddadhanasya, kirtayani anukirtaya. Yeah, someone else can read maybe Yoga Lakshmi Mata.
Therefore, please precisely describe all the activities and pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is full of self-desire, and who assumes all these activities by his internal potency.
So, Kirtayani Anukirtaya. Elaborately described. I am full faith. So please describe. So Anikirtaya means to follow the description, not to create a concocted mental description, but to follow. So that's the theme of importance of a person who is trying to represent parampara. He must repeat what he has heard from authorities. He will not concoct something. So that's what he's actually Shaunak Muni is saying Anukirtaya means what? You share what you have heard from Shukdev Goswami. You want to hear that. Hey Sut Goswami or Hey Maitreya, you have heard from the Supreme Lord. Or Hey Sut Goswami, Shaunak Muni is saying, Hey Sut Goswami, please speak what you heard from Shukdev Goswami. So that's the whole point here. Anukirtaya. Now Sut Goswami is replying. Suta Uvacha Dvaipayanas Sakastrevam Maitreyo Bhagavanstatha Prahedam Viduram Prita Anvikshyam Prachoditah. Yes, Mataji, continue. One more verse.
Sri Sutta Goswami says, the most powerful sage Maitreya was a friend of Vyasadeva. Being encouraged and pleased by Vidura's inquiry about transcendental knowledge, Maitreya spoke as follows.
Yeah. So, see, this is the way Krishna's discussion happens. Right? So, there is a proper interaction between the speaker and the hearer, or inquirer and the answerer. Right? So, the speaker also is enlivened and encouraged by the inquiries of the audience. So many places it comes. Maitreyo Bhagavans Tatha Prahedam Viduram Preet. You become very happy to hear the inquiries of Vidura about the Anvikshikyam. Anvikshikyam is about the transcendental knowledge. So, with that happiness, he started speaking. So, this we see throughout the third canto, so many places it happens. Right in the beginning, in the 5th chapter, 6th chapter, where Vidura is asking questions. So it was very pleasing to the person who is answering. There is a great samvad which is happening between them. So that's how Prabhupada emphasizes this point of questions and answers. So questions and answers are very satisfactorily dealt with when the enquirer is bona fide and the speaker is authorized. So when the proper combination is there, then their proper effect is there. Proper experience is experienced by the both parties. Because what Krishna says, Yatra gayanti mad bhakta tatra tisthami nara. Naham tisthami vaikunthe yoginam hridayeshu. So where there is proper Shrota and proper Vakta, then there is proper experience of Krishna. Because Krishna is present. However, what is our part? So either we are Shrota sometimes, either we are Vakta sometimes. We have to see our heart. We have to see why I am doing what I am doing. To the degree it is obligatory, to the degree it is mechanical, official, managerial, to that degree it will have, it will minimize the potency of the process. To the degree it is sincere, as Prabhupada is saying, bona fide, to that degree there is proper experience. Right? Because Krishna is present. Prabhupada writes at so many places where there is offenseless hearing and chanting, Krishna is personally present. What to speak of, and Srimad Bhagavatam is discussed. I mean, nothing but Krishna. So that's why Prabhupada is emphasizing this part. Maitreya was very pleased with the inquiries of Vidura because they were inquiries of a bona fide advanced devotee. Thus, Maitreya was encouraged to answer. When there are discourses on transcendental topics between devotees of equal mentality, the questions and answers are very fruitful and encouraging. Right? So this is a very important line that in our practice of Krishna consciousness, there is a very importance for Guhyam Akhyati Prachati. Right? So the Goswami is saying, actually the whole book of Bhakti, what is that? Upadeshamrita is for the purpose of teaching us how to associate with devotees and different levels of devotees. And by that, we can associate and identify and associate with Vrajvasis. And by that, we can progress to Radha Kundana. That's the whole topic of the book, right? But for that, we have to control our senses. So that is the first the two verses. So how to associate? The important part of that is Dadati Pratigrunnati Guhyamakyati Prachati. Bhumte Bhojayate Cheva Shadvidha Priti Lakshan. Right? So here Prabhupada is saying that when there is discourses on transcendental topics between the devotees of equal mentality, then what is the questions and answers are fruitful and encouraging. Fruitful means there is proper fruit of that. The insecurities, doubts, and they are removed. And encouraging is not just that, one is encouraged in bhakti by that interaction. So, this is a very important anga of bhakti, as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. What is sadhu sangha? So he tells Sajatiya Ashaya Snigdha Swatovara Sadhu Sangha. So this is explained by the same Prabhupada in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Now please read this and please attentively hear. This is very deep. Please read this. Go ahead.
Swami has recommended that one live in the association those who are of the same mentality. Therefore, it is necessary to form some association for Krishna consciousness and live together for the cultivation of knowledge of Krishna and devotional service. The most important item for living in that association is the mutual understanding of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. When faith and devotion are developed, they become transformed into the worship of the deity, chanting of the holy name, and living in a holy place like Mathura.
So see how Prabhupada is writing this particular section. There are 5 potent forms of bhakti, right? So they are all there here. The last line is telling about deity worship, chanting the holy name, and staying in holy place. But the more important than these 3 are these 2. What are those 2? Sadhu Sangha and Bhagavad Shravan. So if that happens properly, then everything happens properly. So it's a necessary to form proper association. Okay, for what purpose? For cultivating knowledge of Krishna and knowledge of Bhakti. Okay, so what you do that, the most important item is the mutual understanding of Gita and Bhagavad. And what will happen by that? What is fruitful? Fruitful means faith and devotion are developed. And how they are encouraging? Because all other activities are infused with right intentions and right process by this discussion. So it is encouraging. So fruitful and encouraging. Our faith and devotion increases and we start practicing all other limbs with right intention and right method. Right? Because bhakti is very powerful if it is practiced in a proper way. So that's how there is an important, because what is question answer? Question answer is nothing but Shravanam and Kirtan. So it's an engagement in Navvidha Bhakti with heart, with brain, with heart, and with proper understanding of each other. So when there is a proper Sajatiya Sangha, then this can happen often, and then there can be often fruitful and encouraging discussions through questions and answers. Right? So that's how, if you see Prabhupada's system, he has put all these things in place actually. We have to just follow that program. Right? That's what Prabhupada thought he is writing. Nashita prayeshu abhatreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. So every day attendance in Bhagavatam class. Right? So in some way or other, we should do that in whatever way we can. So that this is what is the goal. So that's what the verse is saying. Now Maitreya starts replying. So previous verse, Sut Goswami just zoomed on face of Maitreya Muni because Maitreya Muni was very happy hearing the Vidura's questions. Now Maitreya is still. Maitreya Vacha Pitari Prasthite Ranyam Matuh Priya Chikirshaya Tasmin Bindu Sare Vasit Bhagavan Kapila Kila. Yeah. Okay. Suryakant Krishna.
Yes, Guru. Translation. Maitreya said, when Kardam left for the forest, Lord Kapila stayed on the strand of the Bindu Sarovar to please his mother Devhuti.
Yeah. So he left and he stayed there. So to please his mother means what? She was in Vatsalya. So he drank her milk and all that, like that Shunachakra Thakur says. And Prabhupada brings it to cultural aspect. That again, same point. The duty of husband is to leave the home as soon as there is grown-up son. That is the Vedic system of household life. One should not remain continually implicated in household affairs up to the time of death. He must leave. Family affairs and the wife may be taken charge by a grown son. You see how many times Prabhupada is emphasizing in this purpose. Tamasinam akarmanam tattvamargagradarshanam swasutam devahutyah dhatu samsmaranti vachah. Yes, please continue.
When Kapila, who could show her the ultimate goal of the absolute truth, was sitting leisurely before her, Dehuti remembered the words Brahma had spoken to her, and she therefore began to question Kapila as follows.
So, Devahuti, as we know in the previous chapter, Brahmaji told her that Lord will appear, and so that's how he remembered the words, and now she is inquiring. So, this 18th verse was that Brahma said, Lord has entered your womb. So, she remembered that. So, Devahutirvacha Nirvinnanitaram bhuman asat indriya tarshanat yena sambhavyamanena yapannandham tamah prabhu. Yes, Mataji, can you?
Dehuti said,
Okay, continue.
Dehuti said, I am very sick of the disturbance caused by my material senses. For because of this same disturbance, my lord, I have fallen into the abysses of ignorance.
Yeah. So here, Nirvinnam Nitaram. I'm very much disgusted with the Asat Indriya Tarshan. The Tarshan means the desire for sense objects of Asat Indriya. So I'm disgusted with it. And now I have fallen in Andhatama. So please help. I'm very sick of it. So Prabhupada helps us to understand what was her mood, and he tells us what we should be doing. So Prabhupada is saying this Asat Indriya Tarshan is agitated by the senses and their demands. Right? So whole theme of this purport is unless one is tired of material sense gratification, there is no opportunity to hear the transcendental messages from person like Kapila. So Devahuti expressed that she was tired. So Asad Indriya can become Sad Indriya by proper engagement. But when Asad Indriya will become Sad Indriya, when Asad Indriyas are creating some inconvenience for us, are making us tired, making us frustrated, making us Nirvinda is that only, agitated. Because how much ever you feed them, they are not going to be satisfied. So we have to become tired as a soul, as prayed by our Kulshekar, no? Kamadinam katina katidha palita durnideshas visham jatamai na karuna na trapa no pashanti. So what is saying? My dear Lord, I have been serving this Kama Adi, lust, anger, greed, etc. Katina Katida Palita. I have served them so much. I was employed under them only, and I was the best servant. Hmm. But what was their way of working? Uh, Palita Tesham Jatamayi. What I got from them? Na Karuna. These masters were never merciful to me. They never gave me any holiday. Natrapa. Neither I was shameful to approach them, although they were not giving any leave. No pashanti. Okay, no leave means are you satisfied? No, I was not at all satisfied. So such were my masters. They were not giving me leaves, they were not making me satisfied, and neither I am shameless. I was shameful to approach such masters. But Utsrujyayetan athayadapate samprataslabdha buddhis. So now I have got intelligence that these are dangerous masters. So I have come. Tvam ayataha atmacharanam mam atmanyam shatmadasi. Please engage me in your service. So this kind of feeling is very important as a hunger for hearing about enlightenment. Otherwise, enlightenment can go on, but there is no receptivity. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. There is no opportunity to hear the transcendental message. Like we know the Angira Muni went to Chitraketu, but Chitraketu was not in a position to hear at all. So he didn't instruct him. He could not instruct him. And even if he would have instructed, he would have not heard. So Angira Muni was very mature to instruct him. And then in the second meeting, he became hungry because he was frustrated. Right? So actually, it's very important. We can see these examples that when the advanced people, like here case you see Arjuna, Parikshit and Dhruva. So they were all tested by their superiors before telling the actual things. Even Angira Muni, till the time there is no receptivity, the right message won't be given, or even if it is given, it will not sink, it will not be heard. So this kind of receptivity is coming from proper reflection on our material life, whatever degree it is. So the receptivity of real message is revived by the reflecting on the reality of routine relish. So routine relish is material sense gratification. So that's how she is reflecting and teaching all of us that this is the way the hunger can come. Then we can take shelter of the message if we are hungry, if we are looking for some solution for the current state. Right? So that's what she is telling in this particular verse. And the next two verses, she glorifies him like spiritual master. I, like a son, you are. So like that, she glorifies very beautifully. So it's already 4:36. So we'll pause here. Continue tomorrow. So we began at around 4:40. So maybe if any one of you have any question, clarification, or comment, or anything you want to share in context of what we discussed, you may go ahead. Or if you want to proceed, please proceed happily. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji, you have something to say? Go ahead.
Not in context of the class, but I had one question that for devotees it is not really necessary to go and take a bath in the Kumbh Mela, right? So,
Necessary, you are saying? Necessary?
yeah.
Yeah, you can say that. It is not a necessary thing that one has to go. I don't remember where Prabhupada is telling us that, every Kumbh Mela one should take bath.
So, But so we see that so many sannyasis from ISKCON, they also go and take a dip. So how to understand? I mean,
Yes, so see, there is necessity and there are other activities. So when you say sannyasis are going, so they have so many, like, for example, Param Pujya Lokanath Swami Maharaj. Now, he is Mahant of ISKCON. He is representing ISKCON there. So, they are representing ISKCON, and ISKCON should be seen as an authentic uh, institution which is going in line with others. Right? And Kumbh Mela is not that it is something which is prohibited, right? You understand, necessary is one thing, but this is completely devotional actually. Taking bath in Ganges, Yamuna, and Saraswati at Prayagraj. It's a holy place where Sanatana Goswami was instructed. So that way, devotionally, it is very enriched place, right? But when it comes to public show, so all this sannyasis go. And not just sannyasis, there is so much opportunity to do outreach, so much opportunity to do book distribution, so much opportunity to do prasadam distribution in a free way. So the purposes are different. So when it comes to Kumbh Mela, so that's why we see our whole ISKCON is distributing free Gita there. Right? So the Prabhupada's Gita will go to many places. And they are distributing free prasadam. So people will appreciate prasada and begin their bhakti. So when sannyasis go, so they are representing. So there are multiple factors when it comes. But when it comes to our own personal sadhana, it is not necessary. But visiting holy places is one of the anga of bhakti. Right? So if it is conducive, we may go also. There is no problem in that. It's not a prohibition. So that anything else about what we discussed today? About- Okay. Thank you all very much. Yes. Antara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the Mangalam Pranam.
Thank you.
Thank you.